Well, coming up on today's show, the Nissan Leaf prices for 2019 are announced for the USA. The electric DS has been revealed, and the Rivian electric truck, what some parts of the world would call a pickup, has been spied. Well, first of all, good morning, good afternoon and good evening. Wherever you are in the world, hello and welcome to the Saturday the 15th of September edition of EV News Daily. It's Martyn Lee here with the news you need to know about electric cars and the move towards sustainable transport. A bit of news in this week's kind of adventures in buying a used EV. And my other half, Mrs. Lee, saw another EV today, which she'd never driven before, but went to go have a look at one today, and she really likes it. I'll fill you in on the details at the end of the show, as always. Thank you to the gang at myev.com. They help make this show, and if you haven't checked them out yet, well, myev.com is the world's first marketplace purely built for buying, selling and learning about electric vehicles. Well, first of all, the Nissan Leaf prices for the USA in 2019 were announced today, so I hurriedly opened the email and they sent us all of the information to send us into the weekend with some news to digest. The world's best-selling electric car is the Nissan Leaf, so they revealed the USA 2019 pricing, which, drum roll please, stays exactly the same. But that's just the pricing. Let's talk about the specs for 2019. If I have a look at the press release here, the specs for next year's model, drum roll please, stays exactly the same. So this is a piece of news, actually, which basically tells us, you know what? We're going to sell some cars next year, the same as we have been this year. It's a strange thing to announce, but anyway, we thought we'd put it in the news. Despite some leaked pictures on Twitter earlier this year, there is still no movement on the bigger battery Nissan Leaf. Now, earlier this year we saw, actually it was a charging company in Switzerland, and they posted a picture of their fancy pants new charger. Woo woo, look at our charger, going great guns at this mega high speed. And oh yeah, sorry, we forgot to crop out the picture of the Nissan Leaf being tested, plugged in, which would indicate that they were testing a Leaf unlike the ones you can buy, because it was charging, I think, at 100 kilowatts, maybe just over 102 kilowatts or so. I have to dig back through the news. It would indicate it's definitely a different battery. Maybe the LG Chem one, 60 kilowatt hours is pretty much what most people would say coming in the next Nissan Leaf, with thermal management, of course. Well, with liquid thermal management, because of course I get in trouble if I say that current Leaf batteries have no kind of thermal management, although it's passive and not active. But anyway, so why aren't they talking about this? Well, maybe it's because they're reluctant to cannibalise sales of the current model, which it may be selling pretty much on target. I don't know what their targets were, but maybe they're happy with the current level of sales. So why announce a 60 kilowatt hour version? Because it would just make people pause their purchases. Now, here's the downside. There are cars out there at the moment, like the Hyundai Kona, which isn't vaporware. There's plenty of them in the UK now, and I'm lucky enough to have some friends on Twitter who've been showing off their Hyundai Konas, and there's more arriving in the country as well. Plus, the Kia Niro EV is going to be, it's already on sale in its domestic market in Korea, and there's no date, as far as I know, for Europe, Norway, the UK, but it can't be far away. And these have got 64 kilowatt hour batteries. We're talking long range. You've seen people driving, not necessarily hypermiling, but those videos online where they're driving pretty sensibly in good warm weather and getting a lot more than the average, the advertised mileage out of it, by the way. We are talking 500 Ks, 300 miles without trying too hard on those cars. So maybe Nissan don't see those cars as too much of a problem. Maybe, though, they're just worrying about, maybe they know their customers and they know that they need to keep an eye on the Tesla Model 3 $35,000 model. And until they actually start selling that one, maybe they're in no hurry to sell a larger battery pack Nissan Leaf. And then when the Model 3 base model does go on sale, they can discount the current 40 kilowatt hour one and bring out the bigger one. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But the phrase they used in the press release was, it's coming in the future. Those three words. It's about as vague as you get. And it doesn't even say 2019. It says, in the future, we will release a longer range Leaf. Pretty open-ended. Well, the 2019 Nissan Leaf features the starting price of $29,990 for the Leaf S. with pricing for all three trim levels unchanged. In America, they've sold 123,000 of them since 2010. Of course, the new model gets things like ProPilot Assist and e-pedal. Very careful not to call it full self-driving. Next year, though, there is an added feature. Rear door alert. Late availability, in brackets. The longer range version is going to be here whenever. Manufacturer's suggested price, by the way, I mentioned $29,990. The starting price for the S. The SV is $32,490, and the SL is $36,200, all US dollars. Well, with the I-Pace eTrophy starting soon in support of the new look Formula E, can't wait for both of those, going to be amazing. Even Rallycross is going all electric from 2020. We've got plenty of electric motorsport to soak up very soon. Sadly, ElectricGT Championship racing with Teslas might be a little further away than we first thought. They say this: accelerating development in both electric mobility and sustainable energy means the age of light will fast be with us. And that's the CEO of the series, Mark Gemmell, in a statement with motorsport.com that he shared with them. The age of light is a vision that has driven us for over 3 years to build an electric production car series that excites and inspires. And it's now close to final launch. Almost everything is ready. We've developed 3 fantastic race categories, received FIA approval, and welcomed new technical and broadcast partners. The final ingredient is confirming a great lead investor who shares our vision of clean energy and transport, which is fundamental to launching the championship at the highest possible level. The championship start date will be set once a lead investor has been confirmed. I'll put a full link to that motorsport.com article in the show notes, but clearly money is the hold-up. So if you've got a few million lying down the back of the sofa and you fancy getting involved in sponsoring an electric racing series, you know who to call. Well, Group PSA. It includes the French brand DS, and maybe I'll say the word Citroën here as well, or Citroën. They just showed us a new EV, which is on their roadmap, and I think it looks great. It's called the DS3 Crossback, and it's aimed slightly more upmarket than some of the Group PSA cars like Citroën, what with it being DS branded. There are different ways of making EVs for different manufacturers. VW, for instance, are going down the route of the VW Neo, being the first one they're going to make, the Golf-sized car, not a Golf, don't call it a Golf, it's the Neo. That's a custom platform, right, that they're making. Others, like Mercedes, and actually with the Kona, for instance, with Hyundai, they sell multiple drivetrains. It's the same car, and they put the drivetrain in that you want to buy. So there's you'll see lots of Mercedes around in the future, and you won't necessarily know whether it's batteries in there or a combustion engine. That's their way of doing it. Seems like DS are going down that model because we're going to get the fossils first, and then next year we'll get the batteries. The all-electric version is called the E-Tense. They're aiming to hit 186 miles on the new WLTP test cycle, which is broadly accurate, a bit optimistic, so maybe say 160 real world is what they're aiming for with the new DS. And some lovely fast charging is their theory as well, getting back to 80% and back on the road in half an hour from a 100 kilowatt charger. Well, it looks like they are doing the skateboard design, so batteries underneath, which doesn't necessarily work with also having an ICE platform, but they've obviously made it work. And the battery size, 50 kilowatt hours. Not the biggest, but it'll be okay if it's a small SUV or a CUV type segment. They also say it's going to come with regen. And that's a bit like saying a car's going to come with wheels, because that's kind of a given now with electric cars. So this segment of car, the CUV, the small SUV, just keeps growing and growing in Europe, in fact around the world as well. And it's a pretty good move for them to launch a car like this. Maybe we'll see it in Paris at the Motor Show in October, maybe Geneva early next year. Is it just me? But there are a lot of announcements around at the moment. We want to see something more than an announcement. We want to see a pre-production model in some camouflage, something like that. And of course, there's going to be a Peugeot on this platform. There'll be a Citroën on this platform, maybe an Opel Vauxhall similar to it as well. And if I may, as I've been up since 5 this morning, and it's almost midnight when I'm recording this podcast, a cheeky sip of something red and Malbecky, because the throat was getting dry. I think I've worked hard enough this week to enjoy that. Don't drink, kids. It's not big and it's not clever. Right, let's talk about Rivian. Eric Loveday at Inside EVs has some news on a truck, which is what North America. What you call a truck is what we would call a pickup. Think Ford F-150. If I say truck in the UK, we think 18-wheeler, like a semi. Confused? I'll carry on. It looks, this picture on Inside EVs, it looks like a Ford F-150, but they've been doing some super sleuthing, and Rivian are actually using the body as a disguise. They're making their own ground-up pure electric cars. They're probably, I would say, testing some sort of technology, maybe a drivetrain, maybe batteries and motors and things like that, but they've done it inside a Ford F-150 shell, hoping nobody would notice that on the side of it is a plug socket. Well, Eric says with a range of up to 400 miles, a Rivian electric truck could be a smashing success, providing it comes at a decent price point. The pickup truck is expected to cost between $50,000 and $100,000, and yes, that's a wide spread, but trucks are sold with such numerous options and packages that it's to be expected. It should go on sale late 2019 as a model year 2020, range up to 400 miles, like I say, though we suspect a couple of battery options if you're making a truck and a pickup. Lots of space, of course, under the bed to put some nice big batteries. Inside EVs say that their photographer added this commentary, and I quote, "This early mule version of their proposed pickup truck uses a stand-in Ford F-150 body over Rivian's skateboard electric propulsion system. Only a charging cable from the front gives away its identity as an EV. R&D is currently being conducted in Plymouth, Michigan, while battery technology is being developed at Irvine, California." Well, if you have a PV system on your roof, got some solar, there's every chance you're going to get solar envy with this next story. I love that the official Tesla Twitter account is giving us more lately, actually, and that someone's given them a kick with some announcements. They've released a picture of the solar array on the roof of Gigafactory 1 in Nevada. Holy moly, it's huge. It's really coming along. Their plan has always been to make the plant run purely on renewables so that Nevada sun can shine on it in the day and power packs can store it when the sun don't shine. They probably, I'm guessing at the Gigafactory, they can probably lay their hands on a battery or two for that storage. I'm just guessing. When it's complete, it's going to be a 70 megawatt system. There's a long way to go yet, but they're getting there with it. It won't be the biggest solar system in the world, but it'll be the biggest rooftop system. Now, finally, an update on my wife's hunt for an EV. So about maybe a week ago, I mentioned that we came back from holidays and my brother's got the i3 range extender, and we love driving that. And my wife, it was a nice sized car for her because she does city driving for her job. Now, BMW doing a great finance deal, but we've never bought a new car, so it would be very unlike us. But she loves the i3, they're doing a great finance deal. I've been asking your advice, and so for everybody who's given me your advice, thank you. We've read every comment, I've replied to every comment, and we've processed every comment. And then, one of my friends on Twitter, he's really active on the EV community over here on things like the Speak EV forum. Now, people on there know him as Badger in Black, but Will dropped me a note a few days ago to say, oh, you know, if you are looking at new, then there's a 5-year interest-free 0% deal on Renault Zoes, brand new Renault Zoes. If you're interested, just have a little look. So that got me saying to my other half, look, there's really good deals on Renault Zoes, and she's never really looked at them seriously before as her own car. So she had a look at one today, really likes it. She's always liked the Clios for years and years, right? And obviously it's built on the same platform. So she called me at work. I was at work today. She has Fridays off and says, I've looked at the Zoe. I like it. I really like it. So we're looking at a used one tomorrow. So we think get her in one for like 6 months. And if she likes it, we stay in it or chop it in and we'll see where that goes. So, looking at a used one tomorrow, and then we don't impulse buy stuff. I mean, look, she takes a week to buy a pair of shoes. Neither of us are impulsive. So, it won't be tomorrow, but we're going to have a little drive tomorrow, and then in the next couple, I'm sure it'll sell because it's the fastest selling used car on the market. Not the fastest selling EV on the market in the UK. No, the Renault Zoe currently the fastest selling car full stop on the used market at the moment. It's spending the least time of all cars on dealer forecourts. So I'm sure that one will go, but there's loads more around. And so we're thinking a used Zoe, and then we'll see. So I think tentatively decision made. Thank you to everybody in this community who listens to this podcast and has been chatting on the YouTube comments, emailing the show at hello@evnewsdaily.com. Thank you very much to everybody. I think we're getting there with a decision. Now, there's a few cars to look at over the next couple of weeks, and I'll keep you in touch with how we're going and how we're going with buying a used EV for her. So, talking of that, a place if you're in the USA to buy, sell and learn about used EVs, myev.com. Set this week's question of the week. You've got a few more hours to get your answer in, and on Sunday's show we always do the answers to question of the week, which is this: where do you go for information when considering buying an EV or researching a specific make and model? Is there one trusted source you use? What about charging and infrastructure and incentives? How do you find out about these things? I'd love to know. Let me leave a little comment, or you can email hello@evnewsdaily.com. I want to say a heartfelt thank you to the 78 patrons of this podcast whose generosity means I get to keep making this show. And hopefully, if you listen every day, I always learn something. Hopefully you learn something as well. And if I add any value at all to your life, whether it's learning something, entertaining you, distraction, helping you on your commute, if I add any value at all, just have a look at the Patreon page, patreon.com/evnewsdaily. Thanks to everyone who supports me at $10 a month and above. They get their extra Saturday bonus episode of this show that I'm about to record in the next 5 minutes after I finish this one. So you guys and girls, make sure you listen to that today on your Patreon login to get the extra show. There are 235 free episodes of this show, though, which you can download anytime you want to on iTunes and all the usual places, and the blog at evnewsdaily.com. And if you can do one thing for me, it would be to leave a quick review on whatever platform you use. That means the world to me. If you want to hang out on the socials, search EV News Daily. That's Facebook, LinkedIn and Twitter. Have a lovely weekend. I'll catch you tomorrow.